AAA gaming studios are starting to drop like flies. It seems like just about every other month now we hear about employees getting laid off and hitting the unemployment line, or just downright entire studios fading into the ether like they just got Thanos snapped. Like dude, even the AAA studios that are hanging in there are just barely hanging on by a thread. Ubisoft just had to clean house and restructure everything. Heck, their stocks went so low that even Tencent now owns enough of them to look like their pimp. Bungie got hit by a wave of their own layoffs and had to rethink their entire strategy after getting bought out by Sony and failing to meet financial expectations, moving from big blockbuster titles like Destiny to now working smaller scale extraction shooters that still somehow cost $200 million to make. Publishers are getting more and more desperate with each passing year, pouring large unjustified budgets into their games while developers take insane amounts of time to deliver. And each flop like Highguard and Concord is essentially a death nail in the coffin of gaming as we know it today. Like, sure dude, there are exceptions like Resident Evil Requiem, a single player game without a microtransaction focus, which even over a week later is still hitting over 100,000 concurrent players on Steam alone. But most studios are aiming for the jackpot, the big bucks, trend chasing the instant success of live service games like Arc Raiders that can be microtransactions even after purchasing the product, betting away their entire futures on a gamble that often ends in another studio's grave filling up. But what if I told you that gaming isn't quite as bleak as it seems? Independent studios are surfacing left and right, and they're finding success in giving gamers the satisfying experiences that they actually ask for, and delivering them at bargain prices. I know, it's pretty insane, right? Developers actually exploring themselves creatively and providing unique gaming experiences that customers are raving over. I mean, Slay the Spire 2 just came out at almost 3 times lower prices than most AAA games, and managed to rack up 500,000 concurrent users. Numbers that any AAA company would kill for. But hey, that's just the cartoony card game, right? Well, how about Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a game that looks on par with just about any $200 or even $300 million budget game. But guess what? It only took $10 million to make, and Expedition 33, priced at $50 US, racked up around 5 million sales before going on to win numerous awards. The game on Steam alone still peaks at around 10k concurrent players daily, and it came out April of last year. That's pretty significant for a one and done single player experience. And I have to keep emphasizing concurrent because that means at one time. Far more players hop onto the game throughout the day, and if you're looking at 10k peak players on Steam and scoffing at it, well, I bet Highguard wishes that they had those kind of numbers right now. Maybe they wouldn't be closing in less than a week from now, and Concord is rolling in its grave along with it, as they both reflect on their potential over $200 million budgets and non-existent player counts. Now, I've put off playing Clair Obscur for the longest time because I just don't have time to play another turn-based RPG type game, but I finally got around to booting it up, and Jesus dude, on top of the amazing graphics and animations, even the story is gripping me by the short hairs, and I never even really questioned what people were praising the game for as far as story or characters go. I believed them when they said it was phenomenal, but this I was not ready for at all. I can't believe I even hopped off of Expedition 33 long enough to even make this video, and this is the way I haven't felt about a AAA game in so long. A game that takes risks and that isn't afraid to approach provocative subject matters. A game that doesn't try to appease everyone and take the safe route to please its investors. I had to find that in an indie game. But these days, games are just taking way too much money and time to even get off the ground. I remember the days that Gears of War 3 only cost Epic like $60 million to make and was out in like 3 years after Gears of War 2. Now games come with the budget of funding a small country and have overly staffed studios, which I don't know what the freak half of them are even doing, while still requiring the time it takes for a dude to graduate high school and then start their own family before it even releases. And like I said, this is absolutely damning for a studio if it flops. the financial and time investment is just too great. So everyone is trying to play it safe. And a lot of the inclusivity and diversity you see, it's calculated. They have to appeal to the greatest number of individuals out there, so they hire consultants to ensure that every kind of gamer feels included, no matter their ethnicity, handicap, or orientation. Indie games do this too, but it's far more prevalent in the AAA gaming sphere, where every roll of the dice can mean the difference between hitting it big or eating at the soup kitchen. And aside from Resident Evil Requiem, honestly, there just isn't enough for me to be excited about anymore in AAA gaming. Everything is microtransaction to hell and back, and studios are moving further and further down the live service rabbit hole, scared to put their eggs into the bold single-player experiences that once defined the market. Rocksteady is a perfect example. They effed around and found out with that Suicide Squad game that they put out, which they couldn't even give away for free, and they most definitely tried by deep discounting the game to around $3 shortly after it released. And sure, there was a single-player element to it, but it was made clear that the game was created around repetitive mission structures and slow grind progression just to cater to its live service roots and predatory microtransactions. And about the only thing I appreciate with that game is the bot support, because, well, I don't like playing with other people, and even the most handicapped bots out there are preferable to little Timmy screaming into his microphone about his dinosaur McNuggets. But hey, maybe things are starting to look up for AAA studios. Like I said, we did get Resident Evil 9, and that's been a hit. People are even raving about Pokopia, but that's Nintendo, and we don't talk about them. We just let them enjoy their furries and hope we don't accidentally make eye contact. No, really, Nintendo is killing it these days, but there's also Crimson Desert, a game that seems way too good to be true, and I still can't believe it exists. I'm still not pre-ordering anything, but if there was a game out there to have your eyes on, it would be that one. There's just so many features there, and the world seems too freaking huge. Like, I need to take some time to dive deeper into the details on it, and I'll probably even make a video about it. For now though, there's just not enough to be hyped about coming from these large studios. Sony is pivoting to multiplayer-oriented live service games when they used to be known for some of the biggest single-player narrative juggernauts out there. And I'd hate to wish ill will on the developers, but much like EA had to learn the hard way multiple times because they were looking to abandon single-player games, I'm looking at Sony to get their hands burned a little so that they learn the same lessons. But anyway, I'm starting to get withdrawal symptoms because I've been away from Expedition 33 for too long. So hey, this is RageWatch, and if you made it this far, you really ought to consider pressing subscribe so you can get more cringy gaming videos like this one. I'm out. Thanks for watching.